welcome to Pickleball Pie, the Nerd Side, Illuminated. I'm here with the ADDICT Pickleball team, Team ADDICT right now. And all right, so who wants to start first? What is the Nerd Side of Pickleball for you?
Well, I think the nerd side of pickleball for me is just being a student of the game, just understanding it better, really diving deep into it, and seeing the phenomenal players that we have available to us here for our viewing pleasure at this tournament has just been almost a dream come true. I've had an incredible time today.
The nerd side for us, I could probably speak for my partners and myself, is understanding equipment at a higher level, being able to tweak that equipment, play with it, take feedback from the consumer, and build products that are as competitive as the best brands, and if not better, and to continue to do that, put in R&D and get better as we go on.
And I can just elaborate on that. And just to elaborate on that, just to give a specific example, was a paddle, for example. The last time I've properly nerded out over anything, it might have been 6 or 7 years ago. And developing a good paddle took us over 4 or 5 months, over 5 or 6 manufacturers. And the process of taking apart a paddle, analyzing it, learning how to improve it, testing it, and trying and experimenting, that's nerding out for me. And it's been a blast.
Yeah, the last time he nerded out was about shaving his chest hair to make sure more would grow back, but it just never worked like that for him.
And those are
oh, no, it did.
Arab genetics.
It definitely worked. Wow. Amazing. Okay, so I want to ask you all, how did you get into pickleball initially, and what's sort of been your journey with the sport, and how you play, your pickleball gear along the way, shoes and paddles and stuff.
All right. I guess I'm going to be kicking things off. So I had a pretty boring story. My ex-girlfriend broke up with me, and I needed a new hobby to occupy my headspace. Coming from tennis, it was a pretty easy transition, just a smaller court. And the community at Crescent Lake in downtown St. Petersburg was absolutely phenomenal, incredibly welcoming, friendly, open. I asked random people to try out their paddles. They said yes. You would never get that in tennis. It was unbelievable. And from there, I've tried a few different paddles. I've tried Electrum, Selkirk, Carbon, a couple others. And I can honestly say that the ADDICT paddle that we have developed blows those out of the water. I feel so comfortable and so confident playing with it. The amount of power, spin, and control, just that combination, I did not have with other paddles, and I love it.
Yeah, for me, my girlfriend, shout out Cat Ken, love you.
Broke up with him?
No, didn't break up with me. We're still together. But her dad was trying to get me into it for years, last 3 or 4 years, and my response every year as he comes down for vacation was, nope, it's an old person sport. I have no interest in doing that. Rather go to the beach. Finally, last year I had an elongated period of time with him where I was just absolutely bored to death. Made a commitment to go to the court, play a few games, completely got addicted right out the bat, started playing, met my business partners on the court as we progressed at JBL and then on to Crescent and other parks, and it's been the best move, best sport possibly. And as far as equipment goes, was never really loyal to a brand at all. Probably didn't have a shot at getting sponsored by anybody, so we figured we might as well just develop our own stuff.
Yeah, we started this just so we could get sponsored. My story, it's funny, everyone has a pretty unique, background coming into pickleball. Last year I lived in Miami. I came off of an incredibly unhealthy year, and I needed a change. So I had moved back from Miami to Tampa, where I'm originally from. In November of last year, I had a friend invite me out to play pickleball at a local court in Tampa, Cascaden, and I had a blast. So I went to another court the next day, JBL, which became kind of like the birthplace of my, I was going to say pickleball career, but far from it, but pickleball, my journey in pickleball. And yeah, I began playing 6 to 7 hours a day for 3 or 4 months straight. Like, that's like the bar minimum. And I had sold my Jeep in Miami. They hear this all the time. It's probably like a broken record, but it's a funny story. I had sold my Jeep in Miami, so I didn't have a car when I moved back. Was in the process of purchasing another one. So I would, if I couldn't get a ride, which was the majority of the time, I would Uber to the courts, and I'd be there for 6 or 7 hours. So I couldn't go drive to get food. So I'd also Uber Eats once or twice a day, and then everyone's shooting the shit, talking about an Uber Eats sponsorship and this and that. I met my partner in January, right before an event, Gasparilla, here in Tampa. And yeah, we want to do something in pickleball. We were spending, it's like a full-time job, the amount of hours we were spending on the court. And we both come from different backgrounds, so we want to do something in pickleball. What initially started off of just an idea to have fun with kind of unique designs on edge guards and grips continuously expanded and evolved to what ADDICT is now. It's a company and a movement, all kind of pickleball forward, but based, its ethos is just healthy addiction, because that's what it was for us. I mean, for all of us, like, it geared our life on an incredible track of health, of being tan, of meeting amazing people, of losing weight, of unlimited cardio, especially if you're playing singles. So yeah, that's my story in pickleball.
Yeah, he forgot to mention that during those Uber trips to the court and back, his parents were getting deeply concerned about his whereabouts, and he wouldn't admit to anybody that he was playing pickleball because he didn't want to be labeled as that guy. But now he's proudly rocking it on every day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, now my whole fucking head to toe is a pickleball brand. But yeah, for the longest time, I would be missing, and my friends and family would be like, they were fucking sketched out. They were like, what are you doing all this time? And I would just give them the most sketchy answer of all time, avoiding pickleball. I'd say, I'm doing a lot of cardio. So I can't even imagine what's going through their heads. And then, I don't know, it hit a turning point, especially when we started ADDICT, and I'm like, I'm playing fucking pickleball. So, yeah.
Amazing story. I love it. So what about like tips, tricks, advice that you would give beginners and like advanced beginners? You're just kind of starting out.
Probably choosing the better guy to ask.
So that's a great point, Drew. I do coach a little bit on the side. I would say, one of the best tips is try to keep your head down. A lot of people, they bring their head up as they hit. They try to do too much. Do less, honestly. It seems a little counterintuitive, but, play comfortably yet confidently, and just play your game and let the paddle do the talking.
I don't have any tips or tricks for pickleball, but if you want to start a brand or you're interested in starting a company, don't listen to what everybody else says. Follow whatever your plan is, whatever your vision is for your company. When people tell you it's not going to work, it's because they don't have the energy to do it themselves. So just keep going, keep fighting, getting through the hard times, putting solutions first, not problems first, and find good people and a good team, because you can't do anything by yourself.
I completely agree. Just to kind of elaborate on that point, I mean, when we were looking at starting ADDICT, I would ask people on the courts, I'd be like, hey, what do y'all think about doing something in edge guards or grips or this or that? And everything was shot down, like, by everybody I asked. Edge guards, they're pointless. Like, what do you need them for? What about style? Nah, they're pointless. It's silly. It's stupid. This, that. Grips, tennis companies, this, that. So in my experience, I've worked on a number of things. The things that people were most adamant about telling me not to do were the things that I did and were the most successful. So, yeah, don't listen to anybody. You can listen to people, maybe consider advice, but at the end of the day, trust your heart, work your ass off, and you have high odds of achieving what you want to.
Amazing advice. I love both of those. All three of those.
I was completely unrelated to pickleball.
Not gonna get any better, guys. But
Yeah, they were like, how can we completely avoid this?
So where can people find your products?
So 8 p.m. tonight, ADDICTPickleball.com.
October 24th.
The site goes live. So from now for the foreseeable future, you'll be seeing new products, new collections, new drops, new announcements. Follow us on Instagram, ADDICT Pickleball, or TikTok, or whatever other social medium, because we have them all. But yeah, you'll be able to start buying, purchasing, and we'll be at events throughout the Florida area over the next 7 months, I guess, into into April season.
We'll also be at a number of retail locations. So just a few ones locally. We got MP Tennis in the Carrollwood area. We got the legendary Racket Heads in Tampa. And yeah, we're partnering up with a few other pro shops and locations around mostly Florida and, you know, also outside in the rest of the U.S. So we'll be able to catch some stuff there as well.
Also, if you're in the Dallas area, Deadspin, Disc, what's the other one company?
Tree Love.
Tree Love, Deadspin, if you know where the shop is at, we're starting to distribute in the Dallas area. We're super excited. We'll be there in a week or so. So see you out there.
And now when you say about working your ass off, is it like different than when you're doing a job that sucks versus doing something that you're, you know, that you love?
If you're doing a job that you feel trapped in, or you're doing a job, because I feel like we've all been there, right? If you're doing a job that you feel trapped in or a job that sucks and you don't like it, I would do that, pay your bills, get by, and maximize all of your time instead of playing video games or this or that, unless it's pickleball. Maximize all of your other time other than sleep to start working on a passion project or pursuing a hobby. And if it's something that you're interested in potentially monetizing it, you don't even need to think about it in advance. It might just come naturally. Then dive all in. And at that point, when you hit the turning point with that venture or project or whatever it turns into, when you think you might be able to work on that full time and you feel confident about it, just fucking send it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah. Do your research on what you're getting yourself into. But if you're doing something you love, the long hours and many of late nights with no sleep or minimal sleep will not feel like a burden. It'll be an enjoyable moment for you. And we do this 2 nights a week. We're up overnight, you know, side by side, either talking or not talking. But I wouldn't replace the last 7 months for anything, you know, in my life. So follow your heart, go after it, take calculated risks. Make sure you hedge your bet, but ultimately, you know, chase the passion. It'll pay out.
And the last question, which is how this podcast started, what is the dark side of pickleball for you?
The dark side of pickleball is probably every now and then. You know, you run into folks, you know, along the lines of what Drew was saying earlier, that don't believe that you're going to succeed or don't want to see you succeed, whether it's explicit or implicit. And, you know, along the same lines of what Drew said separately is if you truly believe in something, if it's a passion project, you're not going to stop. You know, it's going to be that motivating factor that just keeps you going no matter what sort of hardship you face or what obstacles you have to overcome, because you have that undying belief that just cannot be changed for whatever reason. And, you know, you kind of let the haters hate, and whoever wants to align themselves with you, you bring them in and you build together. And that's what we've done here. And it's incredibly exciting.
Yeah, as far as the dark side of pickleball, when we started, at least Drew and myself, I think that the game was so new that it was welcoming for all, and you know, no matter what skill level we were at, whoever was at the court welcomed us into games, even if they had to play with someone who was way below their playing standard, and that was just the nature of the sport. Now, as the sport's growing, I think my ever-growing dark side is that as groups start to close down, as levels of play go up, the community just inherently won't be as welcoming because you'll have such a disparity in skill level. So I hope that it stays the same, and I hope that it's always as welcoming as it was to us when we first started. But realistically, I can't imagine that forever being the possibility. But luckily, you have beautiful facilities like the one that's behind us right now that kind of groups you into courts where you can play with people at your level and make your advancements up. So hopefully we'll see how that goes. But that's I think the darkest side of pickleball that I've experienced so far. And then maybe some other people here and there, but we'll talk about that some other time.
There's always some people here and there. Yeah, I mean, I think what both of them said is incredibly on point. Yeah. I think the darkest side is really when cultures always shift, right? No matter what it's in, whether it's a sport culture or general culture of a location. As long as the culture, especially the culture that we initially saw and experienced, begins to grow in that direction of like inclusivity and like welcoming people and like actually genuinely loving the game and loving the idea of putting somebody new on the game, somebody you absolutely don't even know, somebody you just bumped into at the park. What makes pickleball so sick is that it's like a pickup culture. It's like more pickup of a game than almost any game I've ever played, and I come from basketball. So it's like the community of the people is the biggest reason I fell in love with it. And as long as that spirit continues to grow and head in the right direction, I think the dark side will turn light.
We'll end there. Nice job. Thank you for illuminating the nerd side and the dark side of pickleball. Appreciate you all.